county and federal entities. I probably filed a Federal Trade Commission complaint against them as well. So I've filed complaints against that library system for various acts of hostility, bigotry, and disenfranchisement with local, state, and federal government auxiliaries. And in my opinion, that's enough. I'm going to address them personally today, and only today, because I thought that this maneuver that this janitor pulled on my significant other, probably at the behest of some of the staffers there, was particularly heinous, violent, and hostile, not to mention unprofessional. So, thank you for listening to that particular element of this program. It does factor into the grand scheme of things. We're talking about social engineering, ladies and gentlemen. Social engineering. Social engineering is when a government utilizes its own resources, its own personnel, and various other components that it has at its disposal, typically at the corporate levels, to institute changes in society without the express approval of the American people. Gang-stalking is a prime example of social engineering. The people who enabled gang-stalking, or rather concocted it for implementation through Congress on the backs of national security legislation, no doubt looked around at this country called America and saw that some of the things that were happening here were things that they didn't think were good for American society. Now, what these problems, these so-called social problems are, I believe they're oftentimes revealed in the street theater mechanism, but there are no official writs, guarantees, treatises, or political documents that a United States citizen can actually request that will communicate plainly what the social problems that are in America that gang-stalking was invented to remedy are. Ultimately, in my estimation, the easiest to comprehend is that the people who implemented gang-stalking, or rather created it to be implemented in American society, particularly against certain people and not others, resented the meritocracy that America had become. And they wanted to regulate who could succeed in the United States and who could not, based on a number of variables that have not been made public. Particularly over the past, we'll say 60 years, we saw people from many different backgrounds, some of them impoverished or middle class or lower middle class, become immensely successful because of their own work ethic, their own entrepreneurship, the application of their faculties to their work, and their worldview, or their perspective of the world. These people came from a variety of backgrounds, demographics, and socio-political beliefs, as well as theological beliefs. And I believe that the people who put gang-stalking together to try and hinder certain groups of people and not others, even at the threat of the destruction of their own physical well-being, didn't like the overall trajectory of who was succeeding in America and why. They wanted to see to it that certain people, based on a number of factors, were able to succeed, while others either attained marginal success, no success, or a total implosion of their personal sovereignty. This cowardly and thuggish mechanism has permeated every crevice of the United States, local, state, and federal. And I equate the liaisons that use the signaling mechanism used to disrupt targeted persons and the gang stalkers alike. I personally regard them as pond scum, because they know that this clandestine operation that they are a part of operates to disrupt sovereign United States citizens who have done nothing to them personally, but who appear to have some defect that this draconian, stupid, hostile, and expensive program is made to correct. Now, I have been very forthright and very honest about what I think of people that practice this clandestine signaling mechanism that is used to do nothing but destabilize, disrupt, and or harm a person when they are out and about, when they are at work, when they are anywhere where there are people around. They will experience this system of disruption for no reason other than to personally harm that person, and they're probably being used for some sort of a social behavior experiment. They didn't think that a young man from Knoxville, Tennessee, who they just happened to throw into this program arbitrarily, would not only figure this out, but call them out for the thugs, punks, and cowards they are, and force the conversation on gang stalking into the public realm. I've experienced this program in a number of institutions, and at the behest of a number of different people throughout the country, really. I've lived in Tennessee, Ohio, and Florida, but the street theater and synchronization that I experience is courtesy of stalkers throughout the country. Because yes, a stalker or a group of stalkers who have access to this signaling mechanism in another state, even another state the targeted person has never visited, can cause a person to experience synchronization and disruptive thousands of miles away in another state using various signaling mechanisms, including data interception, social media hacking, phone call interception, text message interception, and GPS location interception, courtesy of Stingray devices, which apparently some private citizens have access to and can intercept all your communications pretty much with the click of a button. How is social change supposed to manifest from gang stalking? Well, it's not the kind of social change they talk about in Washington, D.C. When you talk about social change in Washington, D.C., our elected officials typically describe the coming about of that social change through policy, through opportunities, through conversations, through debates, through discourse, through civil actions. That's the way social change is supposed to happen in a democracy or a constitutional republic. If you're trying to institute social change through a disruption mechanism, an attack protocol, and a mobbing scenario in which people are using these signals, which include verbal commands, vehicular maneuvers, physical gestures, electronic communications, and so forth, to identify a target for disruption, for attacks, for confrontations by total strangers who just happen to know these signals. They do it through violent thuggery as well. Vandalisms, break-ins, random attacks. All at the direction of undercover federal liaisons who get the action started with signals. This is thuggery in action, ladies and gentlemen. You, the gang stalkers, are doing absolutely nothing but making the United States of America look terrible. And I'm going to help you look terrible because I'm going to continue reporting what I experience in any auxiliary, public or private, that I happen to frequent, when I'm out and about, when I'm handling my various businesses during the day, when I'm running errands, or if I'm doing something else, occupational or personal. I'm going to report everything that I see to the world through social media, which I am very proud of for affording me my constitutional rights unrestricted